going on, guys? Welcome to the Peanut Gallery Podcast, episode 39. Seth, how's it going, man?
It's going good. I'm glad that you have your voice back.
I do.
It was like shot to crap earlier this week.
It was, yeah, from all the coughing.
I'm probably gonna get sick sitting next to you now. I'm trying to avoid you all week.
It's really annoying getting sick, like getting a cold in the middle of summer. Like it's August, it's typically not the time you get a cold.
Well, I don't think. Right? You don't get.
Well, it says cold. It's a cold. So
I don't think you get cold. I don't think that's right, though.
No, I'm totally right.
You know what always confused me is when you have a fever, you feel cold.
Yeah.
But when you have a cold, you're usually sweating.
And some people say to sweat out a fever, and other people say like.
Well, you do. You can break it.
Yeah, but because like what you want to do is cuddle under covers, right? But some people say like no, leave your feet. Shut up. Some people are like no, leave your feet out because you don't want to increase your body temperature. Yeah. But for me, sweating it out is always better.
Yeah. I haven't had a fever in a long time.
That's why I run marathons when I get fever.
Do you?
Yeah, just to sweat.
I have noticed a lot though. If I haven't been feeling 100%, I go to the gym, and it does help getting your heart rate up, and then just maybe that is sweating it out. Honestly, I don't know.
Exactly.
Well, sweating doesn't it? Like it releases like toxins and stuff. Is it?
This is a doctor show.
We're professional MDs
yeah.
now. No, because like isn't it if you get like a if you get like what's the shiatsu massage, which is like the really tough one?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? That like doesn't that release stuff in your body where usually you have to detoxify afterwards?
Yeah, you have to drink a lot of water.
Well, that's just dehydration. It's not toxifying.
Well, you're supposed to drink a lot of water so then you get rid of.
Oh, and it flushes your system.
That's how your body works.
Yeah. That's so weird to me.
Yeah.
Like
cool,
someone pushing on your skin in certain places with certain forces will release stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, bodies are weird, man.
Those things are crazy.
I haven't had one before.
Have you had a legit massage? Like you go to a place that lay you down?
I did when I was younger, but I couldn't do it because I was too ticklish.
And now do you think it's weird if someone's like oiling you down and touching your body?
I haven't had that.
Yeah, but you're interesting about some stuff like that. That wouldn't bother you though, you don't think?
Oh, you're saying like germ-wise?
Yeah, like would you be?
Oh, if I was getting a massage, probably not, because aren't they constantly washing their hands? I don't know. I wouldn't pay for a massage.
Just do it. Get a couples massage for Emily. Emily, you're welcome.
I'll just give her 2. She'd like that even more, though.
Exactly. There you go. Could be in peace. All right, guys, if you didn't already know, this is the Peanut Gallery Podcast. This is the place that we provide our completely unprofessional and insignificant opinions about the most important and significant topics of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me, as always, is Seth, and we're going to jump right into what was nuts this week. All right, guys, we are back, and we're just going to jump right into it because it has been a busy week, as always.
Unfortunately,
in
a lot of ways.
We're going to start off with probably the only good story that's really been
Is
in the
it
news
good?
this
I guess
week.
it's kind of good.
I mean, I think it's good news, at least. And no one's really been talking about it that much. So last week, what the whole threat was with North Carolina and the increasing rhetoric and stuff like that between Kim Jong Un.
North Carolina?
North
Carolina's going to bomb us. No, maybe North Korea. Jeez, man. It's going to escalate that situation.
Doing well so far. North Korea and the escalating rhetoric between Donald Trump and Kim Jong Un, of course. But so basically what happened on Tuesday is that Kim Jong Un kind of backed down and postponed his missile launch.
He wasn't going to actually attack us like he said he was going to?
Right?
That is nuts. It's almost like it's completely different than what he's been doing for the past 30 years.
Exactly. But I think all in all, I think it's a good thing, right? Because
I honestly don't think it changed. And we were never, I don't think, at a real threat of him launching a missile at us.
Well, so what if he did launch a missile over Guam, though? That would definitely.
Then North Korea would be gone by now, probably.
Yeah. So you're saying it's a good thing that it happened, but you never
I never expected
it to happen.
I never thought, which is why I think a lot of people in the media aren't putting it. Because honestly, did anyone besides the idiot people that were like thinking we're about to go to war? Like, no.
Which was a lot of the
No, I don't think so.
Or criticizing, at least saying that the rhetoric.
Because you don't want to push someone.
People were
if you don't
talking
have
about
to.
like getting a ton of food and like getting shelters and stuff like that, and I was like, come on, this has been happening.
Yeah, well, people have been doing that for years, man.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I was watching a Post Malone interview. I think I told you about this, where he bought a house, like in the middle. I don't know. I think it's in the Midwest. Just to have it as like a bomb shelter house. Like he bought a separate house and he's been outfitting it now.
What if he's not there though? When stuff
Well,
goes
that's
down?
the thing. I mean, he's got to get there, right? So he should invest like an armored car.
You just need to give me like at least 4 hours so I can take my jet over there first, and then go down.
But no, I don't think we were at ever any real threat, and I think it was the most obvious thing in the world that he was gonna. You knew somehow he was going to find a way to retract it, whether or not it's to be like, well, we don't think they were actually, like, obviously he didn't want to look weak for his people.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he told his people that, like, we cowered and he's being a gracious leader and not bombing us or something.
Whatever they'll tell us. I thought it was interesting, though, that China came out and said that if North Korea gets in a war with the U.S., they won't support North Korea at all.
That doesn't mean they're going to help us, though.
No, it doesn't mean that. But we don't need China's help to defeat North Korea.
I don't.
Is anyone not to get intervened?
Is anyone going to help North Korea if they fight us?
Iran, but that's about it.
I don't think they have enough problems. Really?
Tight. Yeah, they're tight.
Do you think they'd actually, like, what do they? You think they're going to send supplies or something?
Like
so we would just, like, blockade them, I think, and they wouldn't get any supplies from Iran. I don't know what Iran would do, but, I mean, honestly, Iran and North Korea, I think we could take them.
I think so. If we actually don't have our hands tied.
Yeah, I know. But what did Trump say? He had a response, right? He said Kim Jong Un of North Korea made a very wise and well-reasoned decision.
Mm-hmm.
The alternative would have been both catastrophic and unacceptable.
Yeah, so Trump takes Twitter to
it's pretty tame, I guess, for Trump. Like he didn't call him out again.
I mean, I think that was a smart move on Trump, right? To not be like, "Wow, Kim Jong Un, what a loser!
Wow, what a baby,
told you
man.
He'd stand down." Yeah, no, I think. But no,
push your missiles where your mouth is. Gosh,
I was ready.
No,
but all in all, I think that's a good story.
Mm.
But so this next one, this has kind of been developing today. This is a pretty tragic story.
This happened today or today. Right?
Yeah, it happened today.
So the numbers are probably going to be out of date.
By the time,
we don't. This is just the information we have at this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But there was a terrorist attack in Barcelona. I think it was, like we said, there were a couple of different reports. I think people said they rented 2 vans.
I've heard one van.
I think one van, but then one was rented for an escape van is what I read somewhere. Yeah. But like we were saying, it's still developing. So basically what happened is I don't think they even have the suspect of the driver.
They do not, but the piece of garbage dude.
The piece of garbage dude who did. He drove it right through a very populated area in Barcelona. He ended up killing 13 people as of now and hospitalizing 80 others.
Yeah.
A report came out that said that those numbers are definitely subject to change because a lot of the people were unfortunately in critical condition.
Yeah.
But this is like a really famous, I guess, kind of like strip, walkway in Barcelona. A lot of tourist interaction and stuff like that is there. And apparently the van drove like almost 500 meters through just a crowd of people.
Yeah. That's insane.
Which, I mean, you can think about how deadly, how dangerous that can be.
Yeah.
We just saw another car attack. I mean, there's been an increasing
the van's been used a lot more, we had the 2 in London.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, this one I think is the worst one yet, though, right?
Yeah,
13.
This is the worst one yet.
It's
that
horrible.
Many people hospitalized. It's really bad.
He had rented the van, we know, and they have who they think is the dude, the guy that did it, but we haven't got him, like you said. They have arrested a couple people.
Another person was killed in a shootout.
Yeah, but he ran a police.
He ran into a couple police cars, I think, trying to get away.
We said, it's still right now. It's kind of a mess over there. And luckily, I mean, I think pretty much everyone's come out and condemned it.
Absolutely.
I was just kind of. What do you think about that? Like, I know the French's president has come out, and Theresa May, Donald Trump obviously tweeted out. Like, I think to me, when they're like, we condemn this, it's like, well, no crap.
Of course you do.
It seems pointless to me that they...
I think it's just politics.
Right? But it's like, does anyone really I'm really glad that they said... I'm really glad they condemned it.
Yeah, it doesn't I don't know. Maybe the victims of this maybe feel like... Maybe they feel better, like, okay, all these world leaders are coming to our aid here. They don't. Yeah, they just tweet. They might provide some kind of financial assistance.
Trump said that we're here to help, which was a little bit better. Like saying we're here to help or something like that is better than saying
we love you, stay strong.
Yeah, rather than being like, well, this is bad and we condemn this. It's like, cool. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like they spend half their time condemning these terrorist attacks, but we're still having them so often. It's like, all right, guys, let's do something.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to continue happening until the world is ready to name the people who are committing these attacks and just.
Well, we don't know. I mean, ISIS is taking credit
ISIS
for
is
it,
taking
but
credit
they
for
take
it.
credit for a lot of stuff that they don't necessarily always actually have a hand in.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's true. But we'll definitely see as time comes out. I'm sure probably the information and stuff will come out in the next couple of days, and we'll have a clearer picture of exactly what happened and who the suspects were, and hopefully the pieces of garbage who committed this.
Yeah. Prayers out to all the families. Like, it's nuts, dude. 18, 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, unfortunately, we get to come back to our home turf.
Yeah, where things are so much better.
Yes.
So basically, we've kind of talked about, we covered in our last video, you can check it out right up here, where obviously the events that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend were just terrible and awful. And Trump got a lot of heat of talking about how both sides were a part of this and everything. We're going to go into a little bit more of that in depth in the main topic here. But we just kind of wanted to bring up an act of Antifa and stuff like that because we spoke pretty harshly about the alt-right and about neo-Nazis and white supremacy
as we should.
In our video, as we should have, absolutely, and everyone should be condemning that. But I just want to kind of bring to light that there definitely is extremes on both sides.
Yes.
And this is an extreme side on the left, Antifa, right? If you haven't heard of them, they're this kind of group that runs around. They dress up in all black. They go on college campuses, disrupt speakers,
destroy the campus. What the like?
They're a very violent group. I mean,
no, they're not, dude.
They're not at all.
They're totally fine.
People.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's driving me crazy, man, is the people saying like, "Oh, U.S. soldiers who defeated Hitler and stuff like that, they were just like the Antifa of their time." It's like, no, they freaking weren't.
They really weren't. People are so stupid.
Yeah,
it's absolutely insane. I actually had people on my Facebook timeline being like, when that thing in Charlottesville happened, saying, "Hey guys," this guy was saying, "Hey guys, so if you think Antifa is the same kind of thing as these Nazis, you're sadly mistaken, and feel free to message me and I'll let you know how you're wrong."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like, Antifa is also horrible and violent. We've seen them. They hit people with bike locks. They've attacked police.
They attacked one girl for having make Bitcoin great again on her hat.
And they assaulted her.
Sprayed in the face.
Yes, and sure, there might be some people in those groups that don't do the violent thing. Yeah. But that group has people in them that they do not actively condemn.
Absolutely.
That do violent things and assault people and commit crimes and are not useful.
Vandalize cities, break things,
I don't. Yeah,
cars,
and then the whole thing, we're fighting fascism with
fire.
fascism. I just don't understand it.
It doesn't make any sense at all. But basically what they were doing here, they were in Chicago. I guess they were here protesting. They said they were protesting, quote, white supremacists in white ring groups.
Which is the most vague.
Exactly, because the police came out later and they were like, we don't know exactly what they were talking about here. But they were kind of egging on police at the Capitol and stuff like that, saying things like cops and the Klan go hand in hand, which makes perfect sense, right?
Yep. Because all cops are white.
Exactly, right. They're part of the Klan. But you can kind of see a video here of what they're doing, and they get in this conflict with police officers.
Stop resisting! That's not stop resisting! That's not happening. Resisting. Back up! Back up! Back up! Get out of the way! Get your foot out of the way! Get moving! Get your foot out!
So when did it be okay for so these people are dressed up in black and they have bandanas and all this kind of stuff, and they're like, the cop is actively trying to drag the Antifa member who allegedly punched him in the face, is what the article said. He's trying to drag him and arrest him, right? And then all these people are jumping and pushing the police officer off of him.
It's mob mentality, bro. There's enough of them that think they're free to do whatever they want.
Exactly. I would be down there arresting every single one of those people, and they arrested four of them. But that's just crazy. It's crazy to me. Why they think it's fine to just do that and to compare police to the KKK and the Klan.
That's messed up. The fact that they don't understand that they're doing the same tactics or condemning the other side for it really blows my mind that Antifa has become so big. Yeah. Because it is cancerous as much, if not more, than the neo-Nazi. Because people think it's like a good group. It's not a good group.
Exactly.
It's not that it does.
It emboldens.
It brings violence to what should be political discourse and conversation. If you don't agree with someone, sure, go protest them. Hang up a sign. Whatever. Yeah. Don't go there and start. For one, with the schools, we've seen them absolutely vandalize and destroy schools, streets of markets and stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. You're just people being savages almost. What? And then they come out and the media will be like, well, no, Antifa is a good group. It's the right, alt-right.
They're fighting against
and it's like, no, these are both
they're both bad groups. Because they both feed off of each other,
They do, because then one escalates it and the other one escalates it.
Exactly, and then someone sitting on the fence or something will see something that Antifa's doing and be like, oh, well, these people are at least doing something about it. I might not agree with everything they're doing, but they're going out there and protesting them, and then they'll join in that group, and then people will label them alt-right, and then that group will kind of grow and stuff like that, and the same thing will happen with Antifa. And it's just toxic on both sides. Yes. And as they continue to escalate the rhetoric and the violence, both groups are going to get more attention, and it's going to continue to kind of, ununify people, right? Yeah. It's going to continue the discord that we're seeing today.
And the reality that they have, cops and Klan go hand in hand, and how they think that every white person's horrible and racist or whatever. And it's everyone. The worst one that I've seen is that everyone on the right is an alt-right crazy person. They label conservatives, they label libertarians, they label anyone that's not on the far left is on the far right.
Yeah.
And then you have people being like, well, I'm just trying to defend like conservative values, but then you're lumped in with the alt-right, but you're getting attacked, so then you re-attack and like, well, they're coming after us, so they obviously must be a part of the same group.
Absolutely.
And it's such a mess.
It's totally mess.
Such a mess.
Yeah, and the main reason I want to put this in the doc today, we talk about it, is just so for anybody out there who thinks that it's completely one-sided, it's not.
It's not one-sided.
There's terrible people, violent people on both sides, but you have to call out both sides. It's not just one. And if you've been watching the mainstream media all lately, you will only see one side, and they do not recognize the other side and the other violence on the other side at all. So I think it's definitely important to just put that in there so that people can get a full picture and understanding of what is going on.
And then I saw a lot of people that would bring up the Antifa being also violent, and they would be like, oh, you're just trying to sympathize with the neo-Nazis by not condemning them. It's like, no, I condemn them too. Like, they suck. Screw anybody that calls themselves a Nazi or promotes Nazi. No, you're going, I'm sorry.
You defeated that 70 years ago.
Yes, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Well, but like, we need to also understand that there's more than just them, and to just go at them and leave this side. Like, it's like kind of what happened. If you just attack them, then there's going to be a hole for Antifa to come into, and then they're going to get bigger.
Yeah,
you know, if there's a vacuum because you're only going after one group, that's not good. You need to get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
Completely, 100%.
And the idea that you're a sympathizer for another group just because you condemn another group that's also violent, is garbage.
Yeah, and hey, why don't we just not do all these freaking groups and parties and like everyone's part of a collection of people? It's like, why can't we just have people? I don't understand. Like, there's more than just alt-right and Antifa. Like, there's a bunch. There's so many, and I honestly think the majority of people are not in either one, obviously. They're both pretty small groups in the grand scheme of things, but they're so loud.
They're just loud minorities, man,
and it's like we could squash it so quickly, I think.
Yeah, it's tough because it's hard to squash groups like that without... Like, obviously, if they're being violent, it's easy to squash that and take care of it, but, like, how do you stop it before it becomes violent, right? Yeah. Because then you're almost like... You can't stop someone's freedom of speech, right? So if they're sitting there protesting, they have a right to do that, even if they're despicable Nazis and stuff like that. They have a right to go there and hold their Confederate flags or their Nazi flags or whatever.
Yeah.
And chant things as long as it's not violent or inciting violence.
Well, I mean, if you're calling for, like, death to Jews like they were doing, I would say that we should probably...
that is illegal to do.
Probably do something about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough thing to, like, stop it before the violence breaks out. And then if any time there's going to be an Antifa rally or a white supremacist rally, the other group is going to have to going to show up. You know that there's going to be violence that ensues.
Well, it's not too, like, you could get such a better statement if you just didn't show up.
Absolutely.
If they had an Antifa rally, obviously they're expecting protests, vice versa, and then just no one shows up, no media talks about it, they get no reach or anything from it.
Yeah.
That's way bigger of a hit.
These protests and these rallies don't do anything legislatively. Honestly, like the statue's still coming down.
They were coming down before the freaking thing.
Before they came and marched on it. Whatever Antifa goes and marches on all the time, the legislation isn't going to change. So if you just don't go, don't participate, don't give it the time of day.
You suffocate it with nothing.
Exactly. It's not going to change anything. They're going to get bored if no one pays attention to them. I hope, at least.
It's like an angry freaking child.
You can't really assign logical thinking to them because they're total idiots.
Yes.
But anyway.
But don't worry, they have black bananas and they hide their face because they're courageous.
They're totally courageous.
Almost as courageous as removing a headphone jack.
Yeah, even more so, I would say. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap us up here, and we're going to jump right into the main topic this week. Guys, we are back, and we're going to move right into the main topic this week, and we're going to talk about kind of the stuff the updates, stuff that's been going on with Charlottesville. We're going to talk a little bit about Trump's response, the heat that Trump has been getting from the mainstream media. We're going to talk about these statues that have been being taken down lawfully and unlawfully, as we'll get into. People are crazy. But first, we're going to jump into kind of the update on Charlottesville. So our last video came out Monday. We recorded it over the weekend when it was happening. So we didn't cover...
We were live there as it was happening.
Exactly. On the ground. But so we want to talk about Trump's response on Monday. And so this is when he actually condemned by name neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Here's a video of him doing that right here.
Racism is evil. And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups that are repugnant to everything we hold dear as Americans. We are a nation founded on the truth that all of us are created equal.
So, of course, the heat that he was getting here, this was good that he said, but he should have said it 48 hours earlier.
Yes, that was the problem.
Saturday.
This was his second speech about it. Because in the first one, he never called him out by name. We had talked about a little bit, like we said in the last video, where I didn't necessarily understand, but now I've kind of come around where I do understand that we need to name it because just to be intellectually honest, like I was mad when Obama wouldn't do it for certain reasons too.
Absolutely.
And so yes, he should name it, and it is messed up that he got it. This was 48 hours later that he was able to finally come around, and it was like a big deal that he's actually naming it. That's weird to me.
No, absolutely. And his reasoning was really, really bad. Really
no,
bad.
It wasn't, bro. He was studying it, man.
He was studying. He needed 24 hours to wait for the facts because he didn't want to just come out there and blurt
like a lot of you.
Right? Exactly,
Gosh,
like
dude.
all of them. But see, here's the thing: like Trump has never done this.
No.
I mean, we just saw in the terrorist attack in Barcelona, right? He came out and condemned radical Islamic terrorism. Now, I would venture to bet that he's probably right there. But if he were, if the same logic applies to him all the time, he would have came out and condemned white supremacists instantly.
Yeah, it's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like. Is it? I think it's Shapiro that does it. Is it dumb versus cynical? Is that what he does?
Good Trump, bad Trump.
No, he does that too.
Okay.
But like, or someone says it where it's like, Did he not condemn them because he intentionally didn't, or because he's an idiot? Didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you contribute?
Don't contribute malice what you can contribute to stupidity.
That one. Who says that?
Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. Yeah. So I was like, I don't think that he did this on purpose. I think he's probably just stupid.
Just being Trump.
Yeah, just being dumb. Because I don't think he writes his own speeches, right? He has a speechwriter. So I don't know. Maybe the speechwriter is a pro.
There were reports actually that it's not confirmed, but that he had the same speech that he gave on Monday. He had it on Saturday.
Yeah.
But he went off script and kind of delivered.
Oh, well, that's probably good.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he came out on Monday and he completely condemned it. But then he holds a press conference on Tuesday where he doubles down on pretty much. So some of the stuff that he said in the press conference, I thought some of it had some merit and some truth to it. A lot of it didn't, though. And so his intention on everything is to double down, right? He doubles down on everything.
Regardless on whether or not he should or if it's right.
I know, right? It's like sometimes he'll double down and be good, but sometimes he won't, or sometimes he will and it'll be totally off. But so, of course, he has this to say about the whole both sides argument.
The alt-left that came charging excuse me. What about the alt-left that came charging at as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
Let
me ask you this. What about the fact they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any problem? I think they do. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished. Fake news. That was a horrible day. I will tell you something. I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have, you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Once again, I think the problem here is I don't think there's necessarily a problem condemning both sides, because we just kind of showed a story. There's definitely both sides to this. But the fact that he didn't come out and condemn white supremacy in the first place is a problem. And then he came out and he said that not all of the people there were neo-Nazis and that not all of the people there were white supremacists.
Which may be true, but why?
It might be true. And they were talking about the Friday night kind of rally where they went and they held tiki torches and stuff like that. And if you're a part of that, I'm sorry, you're a piece of garbage. And if you're there and you're like, what are people doing? You should probably leave.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe
you just gotta hand it a torch like, I'll
just walk
across
like
this. Not
now,
the
people there on Saturday, I think, not all of them were white supremacists. That was a bigger group. Kind of, some of them might have been there defending, just taking down the statue.
Who cares, though?
But it's just not really worthwhile. And when you've also been getting this much heat and stuff, it's just not politically smart to come out.
No, it's all about optics, and it's just horrible looking. And
it looks really bad.
Yeah, and this is when he talks about the alt-left, and it's like, okay, sure, I guess we can start labeling it alt-left if you wanted, but like...
Alt-left doesn't really exist.
Yeah, it makes him look like he's defending the alt-right, which...
And then it gives more kind of credibility to the alt-right if you're going to label the alt-left.
But not label the alt-right.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And so, like, it looked really bad, honestly, I think. And he kind of was an idiot, I think, in this. But I also, like, again, people, of course, were running off with this, saying, oh, see, there you go, he's actually he's supporting them and stuff. And
Absolutely.
It's like, no, I think he's just kind of
Well, people are hearing what they want to hear. Like we said, he should have condemned it, but he clearly said in the Monday speech, it's the video clip that we just played, and he condemned it again in the press conference, neo-Nazis and white supremacists.
Yeah.
But he needed to be harsher, right? He needed to say, anybody involved in that Friday night rally, like, they were terrible. And then when he was talking about the person driving the car, he was asked if it was a terrorist attack.
Weird.
And he was like, well, you can label it whatever you want.
He's a murderer.
Yeah, he's a murderer. But no, it was a terrorist attack.
That was such a bizarre part.
Your own attorney general came out and labeled it a domestic terrorist attack, said the DOJ was going to be involved, and if it was a civil rights violation, which I think obviously it was, but like it was taken seriously, and he came out and he condemned it, and that's what Trump needed to do, and that's why he got berated. But obviously, I think they took it to the nth degree.
Of course.
Right? Of course.
And it's so annoying when you cherry pick what you want. Like you'll take the first speech of Trump not saying it, then you'll take the third speech of when he doubled down, but you don't talk about the second one when he actually did condemn it, and he went on national news. He made a point to do it.
Yeah.
It's like, it either all has to matter or none of it matters, and if none of it matters, like, you know what I'm saying, you can't pick and choose.
You're making too much sense.
I know, we should probably, I'm getting triggered.
Yeah, exactly.
But unfortunately, it kind of moved to a new stage in this. Instead of just protesting this, people are actually tearing down the statues now.
Yeah, and Trump kind of talked about, because the last point that he made was like, if you're going to take down Confederate statues, where does it end? Are people going to want to take down statues of George Washington?
That was also a dumb freaking sentence.
But I think there's some truth to that, because there's already been people who have come out and said that they want to take down statues of George Washington.
Well, now there is, because people are stupid.
But there's been a push for that in the University of Missouri to take down a statue of George Washington. And I think I'm not saying
it's totally different. Dude.
I don't think logically it makes sense for those things to coincide, because obviously Robert E. Lee was someone who fought against the Union.
He wasn't in the United States.
Was there and fought and literally
made the
Union. So it doesn't make sense. But the whole reason that they want to tear it down, right, is because over slavery, and there's gonna be people. We just watched a CNN interview where a lady was saying, George Washington owned slaves, Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, these statues, these memorials of them should be taken down.
If you can look at George Washington and say a statue of George Washington represents slavery, you do not understand at all anything about history. Look at him and characterize his person as a slave owner and reject everything else.
Exactly.
No, I'm sorry. That's not. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's like looking at someone that like is a great person, maybe lied once, saying, "Oh, they're a liar." Like, but what about all the great stuff? Nope, they're a liar.
You could never commemorate anyone for anything, because
everyone messes up.
And obviously, some things are worse than others.
Right. And I'm so like, it's so infuriating. It's like, yes, they own slaves. I don't know what your point is. What are we supposed to do? What's going to make you happy?
Was everyone back? Because everyone owned slaves at that time. Did anything that someone accomplished? You're just going to make that like not valuable or
should
never
we just erase that part of history?
Yeah, because that person owned slaves.
And then we're not allowed to have a statue of our very first president, one of the most amazing men to walk the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
And just be like, no, he had slaves.
So here's the thing with the Confederate statues. I want to jump into this real quick before we get into the main point. I read the Confederate States of America Constitution that they wrote before, obviously, they engaged in the Civil War. Yeah. And so it was not, a lot of people say it's about states' rights and blah, blah, blah. But in the Confederate States Constitution, it specifically says that all of the states, if they were to win, would have to be slave states.
Really?
Yeah, so the states don't have, it's not about states' rights at that point, because they're saying, listen, you don't have the right to refuse slavery or not. All the states are going to be slave states. And then it even talked about how there were different writings about how the Confederates wanted to pursue slavery into the Caribbean and into Mexico and stuff like that, and draw more slaves from there and stuff like that to revitalize the slaving industry, because it wasn't economically viable, and they figured that out obviously because they weren't able to produce enough to win the war. Thank God they didn't.
That's interesting though.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, and the whole idea of a monument, right, is to celebrate what the person did. So when you erect a monument for George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, it's for George Washington being a remarkable general, being the first president of the United States, and helping draft the Constitution. For Thomas Jefferson, it's drafting the Declaration of Independence, being a president, all this stuff. For Robert E. Lee, it's being it's being a general in the Confederate Army who fought against the Union.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I don't have it's...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can see how people would want to take it down. And then there's been arguments where black people are like, listen, I don't want to pay taxes for someone to shine the shoes of the statue of this person who fought to keep me enslaved. It's like, I understand that. I get that argument.
Sense, yeah.
I don't want to pay taxes for a ton of stuff. Like, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, and so that's where I think where we talked before, it's like, let the states decide. If people don't want it, vote for it to get taken down.
Yeah.
But the problem is like we saw in North Carolina this past week, people are now going around. I'm like I say, people. This is one incident that I'm aware of currently. Mm-hmm. Who knows if it's going to spur others? Literally cultivated around this Confederate statue, climbed up it and tore it down on the ground, like they're doing some crazy revolution here in America because we still are holding Confederate values. Right. Get the crap out. Like no, but yeah. So that's where I have a problem because yes. If you want the statues down, and I think there's a strong argument for that. There's a strong argument, I think, to keep them.
I think there's strong arguments
on both sides. But if you want to take it down, they had already voted to bring these down. But when you vandalize property and tear down these pieces of art, of history, that's where you have a problem. It should be taken down, put into history, put into a museum, put into a private collection. Something to go around and just violently tear them down and then kick it.
Yeah.
They were freaking kicking it like they're so stupid. Bronze statue, right? Like no, you're dumb. You're just stone. And then thinking they're being like these patriotic heroes of progressivism. It's like no,
you're not.
Like the fact that you think that it's okay to jump the gun of doing due process and passing legislation to take them down, and then jump to just violently tearing it down.
Yeah.
That's an issue.
Yeah, like there'd be no problem if the state or the local government voted to get rid of the statue, and then they have, professionals come in, take it down, like you said, train it, put it in a museum, or something like that, because I do want there to still be a place where these statues
we need to know about this.
Because you need to know about it. And you can make an argument that it shouldn't be on government property, that's fine. Like we said, there's strong arguments on both sides, but it needs to be in a place where people can take their kids and you can go along and see these statues and remember of what happened.
It's
obviously,
American
people
history.
Who fought and died and what they were dying for, and you can, talk about how slavery was wrong and how it's a good thing that they lost, but still obviously recognize what happened there, right?
Yes, it's important to know what happened. And it's really frustrating. And I watched this video by Colin today that I thought was very good talking about it. Mm-hmm. And he likened them, and I think there's a pretty strong correlation to ideologies like ISIS that go around and regularly destroy, dismantle, and tear down opposing religious ancient artifacts. There's been crazy cool architectural buildings that have been torn down, destroyed. We're never going to have them again.
Lost.
History is literally gone because it doesn't agree with what they want. It's against their religion. Mm-hmm. And this is exactly what they're doing. Oh, this history, which we can't change, it's history, it's happened, all right? Yeah. So since it's happened, what are we going to do? We want to forget that it happened, or do we want to remember it and learn from it?
And can we stop with this bullcrap, apologetic nature of saying sorry about historical events?
I don't understand this. And I'm desperately trying to find an article I read it. And if I can find it, I'll bring it up on the show. Absolutely. But it was this idea that it makes no sense to apologize for history for things that you had no part in. Absolutely. Like, yes, I'm white. Just because white people did that doesn't mean that I did that.
Exactly.
To put me in association with that is racist. And just because you're black and they're black doesn't mean we want to have you enslaved and you're a slave. Like, no. History is important to learn from. For us to apologize for people we never met doing things we never had a part in makes no sense to me. And it's really, what's the point? Like, okay, I'm sorry. What does that help?
Yeah.
What does it help for me to? Like, it's so frustrating. You're so right, and it's yes, it sucks. We're sorry, and we've tried to make good. And it's not to say that if you do something bad, you shouldn't have a punishment or something, but it's like, he didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't do anything, you don't have to apologize for it. It makes sense.
No freaking sense. And what is, like you said, what's the point? Like, what is helping you?
Out of it?
Right. By me apologizing for you.
Does that make you feel that much better? Like, I don't understand.
Right. And you're oppressed because your ancestors were slaves. Like, no, we're equal now. Come on. Like, let's be real here. Now we can talk about institutional racism and, like, the racism we can't find or see. But regardless of that, like, just the idea that we owe them something at this point.
Yeah. The best way for people to be equal and be treated equal is for people to be equal.
Let's just understand the past and then move forward from here going forward. Absolutely. And if we started tomorrow with everyone understanding what happened, pretty much unanimously condemning it. No one is actively wanting slaves in 21st century America. that are like, I mean, sure, there's probably fringe people.
That are prominent.
Yeah,
right?
let's be real. So if we just moved forward today, understanding where we messed up in the past, understanding we're not going to do it again, and no one's calling for it actively to do it again to any big degree, we can move forward.
And that's why keeping these statues around, whether it be in a museum, a private collection, or somewhere else, is important to have them around.
100%.
And I read an interesting article about the Seattle. A mayor in Seattle was talking about taking down a Confederate statue, and then it gets to the point where we have a lot of statues in America that are up and erected in the name of people who are on the far left, who were very violent. There's a statue of Vladimir Lenin in Seattle, but I thought it was cool because he came out and he was like, well, if we're going to take down these Confederate statues, I want to take down this one too. And so I feel like it's almost you either leave them all up or you take them all down, because you can't just only take down Confederate statues but then leave this statue up of Vladimir Lenin, who's a communist who literally slaughtered like thousands of people.
Okay, I was wondering, so...
Yeah, I mean, he led the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, which kind of created the...
But we have a statue of him here?
Which for some... Yeah, it's... Really
no, it's Washington's made. They're close to Russia.
Exactly, so you just have to put it up, I guess.
It's,
but I almost err on the side where I don't want to tear down all these statues. Like,
well, it doesn't actively oppress you by being up.
I guess.
Yeah, and it's again, it's not necessarily the fact that it's a statue, but why do we have it up? You know? Like, do we have it up because we're saying, oh, that was a good time, I wish we were back at that time?
Yeah.
No. We don't. I'm sorry, we don't have the statues up for that.
No.
We have the statues up, especially when they tore down, wasn't even a person. It was just people that fought in the Confederacy.
It was just there.
Which I think is actually would make it like more likely to have up, because a lot of people that fought in the Confederacy just ended up fighting for the Confederacy because it was a geographical decision. Like, absolutely. I'm sorry, if you're in the South, like the generals and the people that actually seceded that were in charge of that, yes, they
had a choice.
They actively were like, we want to do this. And I'm sure a lot of citizens were on board, but there's also a lot, I'm sure, that were just like, well, they're coming, or, you know, we're fighting, and if I'm not going to fight, I'm going to, like, you know what I'm saying? At least fight for something, I guess. But it's like, I don't understand, like, these statues are not there, like, glorifying it. No one is saying that, oh, I'm so glad that we had slavery.
And if you want, like, I would be in favor of even making plaques to put on the statues or something like saying, this is the Confederate general, or this is the Confederate soldier who did this. You know, the Confederate they were a rebel group who opposed the Union and fought for slavery. Like, put that there. So then when you walk by, you can read it, and it's obviously not condoning what they did or promoting what they did. It's there as a reminder of the dark days of American history, where we were, where we've come now, and that we'll never repeat it again.
Right. I mean, like, I wonder what's the end goal of taking down all of these statues? Like, where does it end? Right? If you're gonna say that George Washington is a slave owner,
there's no more statues.
Like, there's just no statues, and we don't talk about the history because it's offensive.
Yeah.
Do we not mention it, or you're not allowed to? Like, if seeing a statue triggers you, like, what else triggers you? You know?
Yeah. Well, if you don't have a solid foundation, I guess, of where we were, where we came from, and the ideology,
we're just gonna go back to where we were. Yeah.
But what upholds the society today if we don't know how it came about, right?
Yeah, and how it's changed.
That completely, and you can even see that now with people who don't understand history and stuff like that. Now they don't understand concepts like free speech. They don't understand why hate speech should be protected, right? Because they don't understand the history. They don't understand the importance of it. And I feel like this is, you know, hopefully we don't go down that slope, but if you continue moving in this direction, you're going to increase the amount of people in society who don't understand history, don't understand America, what it was founded on, and then you're just going to, you know, I mean, at that point, what are you? Like,
they can't, like, if people can't even understand the nuanced argument that you need to protect speech you hate more so than you protect speech that you're with. Like, the speech that you hate is more important to be there.
Yeah, because there's no need to protect speech that you like, because you like it.
You like it, but also not only that, it's like the one that you hate is important for it to be there, and it would be, like, that's important to be there because they need to have the freedom, and you need to have the discourse. If it's only things that you want to hear, that's a problem.
Totally.
You know, and it's bizarre to me when people can't understand that.
Common sense.
Well, it bothers me. Okay, cool, it bothers you. It makes you upset. Big whoop.
Yeah.
Who cares?
You're going to get bothered
upset.
in the world sometimes.
Yes.
Newsflash. I'm sorry.
Turn them off. Don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Say something that counteracts what they said.
Exactly. That'll make you feel good.
Maybe don't burn the school down. Maybe just don't go to the friggin' speech that the guy's about to give. I don't. Yeah. It's so simple. Honestly.
So where do you think it goes from here, though? What do you think? Do you see it escalating on both sides?
Yeah.
Do you see it
100% escalating.
See it escalating?
That's all that's been happening.
Well, that's depressing.
Right? Don't you think? That's all that's been happening is the
I was hoping
escalation.
you would like come with this great revelation.
You want me to be the optimist?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But actually, also, just real quick, like, in that video I was talking about, that Colin did, that he was talking about how we have a lot of paintings that Hitler did. Right? And so the same mentality that, okay, these guys were slave owners, we shouldn't have statues, we should tear them down and literally destroy them. We should destroy paintings that Hitler made. Like, that would be a similar thing, right? Hitler did this, Hitler was bad.
Pretty bad.
But the paintings that they were saying, it's actually really great for historians because it's an artistic median of this very interesting guy. Like, he's you can't say he's not interesting. He's fascinating to study. And he was saying that art historians, just historians in general, they've studied like everything about these paintings. Yeah. And it's really it's different than just hearing about what he's done when you can see something someone creates, you know? And so it's like things like that are important. Like the fact that we have these paintings by Hitler is not bad, and we're not promoting Hitler's ideas by having a painting by him.
And if you think that, you're a moron.
Yeah. Well, the same people that think us having a statue up is saying, "Oh yeah, I'm glad that we have this." It's like, no, like this is something they did. This is you know, it's history.
Absolutely.
It's so frustrating, dude.
I think that's really interesting, though. I'm going to have to go look.
The paintings are actually not that bad. Apparently, he couldn't get into art school. I wonder if that's what made him mad and have the whole thing, you know? But I don't know, dude.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. I would like to hope that it kind of de-escalates, but like you said, I can't really see that happening. It's not going to. Because they feed off of each other.
Well, because what's not going to happen is the media is not going to stop hounding Trump, right? That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
There's nothing Trump can do that he will not be looked on unfavorably by the majority of Americans.
Absolutely.
So regardless of what happens, they're going to continue to feel like it's a racist system and that Trump's hating people, and like that's not going to change. Yeah. So that's just going to build, you know? And the mainstream media is not going to stop what they're doing in twisting the news and only showing certain sides. So it's going to feed this boiling. Something big is going to happen. It's just that's just how, like, unless people start speaking up, and you've seen it, I've seen it a little bit, but if very important people start actually coming out and saying, yes, both suck, we need to calm down.
It's crazy because with just a little bit of reasonable thinking,
just a little bit,
and logic, all of this could be diffused.
Which is the one that's the big reason.
Groups could be totally dismantled.
Yeah.
And there could be unity on something.
Or more people work out, and then we could just fight them.
But like, it can be disbanded so easily, but it's not.
Well, that's the problem. Most people don't have logic. Not most people, but people on Antifa don't.
I would say most people.
You think
a lot of no. I don't want to condemn everyone.
It's super frustrating too because it does seem so simple.
It does seem so simple.
But it's also weird too, though, that I do also think that it is blown out of proportion because here, especially, everyone's really nice. You know, you don't run into like maybe it's that I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like I haven't been privy to it like in person really. So there's still a little bit of a disassociation, and this is actually happening. Yeah, you know. Yeah. And so. It's very also hard with that because, like, I know what I'm against with these people, but I also don't know because I haven't been, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like I kind of understand in a book. It's like being book smart and then going on the streets. Like, yes, you know a lot of information, but, like I haven't actually seen these things happening. So there's a little bit of disassociation there that maybe that has to be dismantled for it to act. For people, because there's a lot of people I'm sure that are like me because these are isolated incidents. And so there could be a lot of people that are like, okay, it's bad, but, you know, it hasn't affected me. I don't really understand how bad it is. Yeah. So maybe it's going to have to get worse where enough people actually have it invading their lives.
Wake up and will actually be like, okay, this is ridiculous. We're ending it now.
Right. And that could be it. Maybe there's something big that just slaps it shut and closes it out.
I mean, you would think that happened.
I would think.
Charlottesville was pretty big. I mean,
yeah, and then the protesters tearing down. And they arrested, 4 people for tearing down the statue in North Carolina?
Yeah.
And then the city... Like, hundreds of people came to the courthouse to protest the arrests, saying that the whole, as a town, they fought racism by tearing down the statue.
Right.
And it's like, they wanted to for them not to get charged, saying, well, you have to charge all of us. And then, of course, the court's not going to charge all the people.
No, we don't actually.
And it's like, so, like, hundreds of people think they were fighting racism by tearing down the statue.
Rule of thumb, just don't be offended so easily. Like, the world would be a much better place if you just don't be offended so easily.
Yeah, well.
Just be, I don't know. It seems kind of, logical. But speaking about being offended, we're about to get really offended. Because we're going to move into my personal favorite segment of the show. All All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to wrap the show up, as we always do, in the What Triggered Us section. This week, this, of course, is where we replace all logical and rational thinking and replace it only with our very delicate emotions. And, Seth, what triggered you this week, man?
Actually,
you have a happy one.
I do, actually. It was freaking awesome. So, I was, I forget what spurred it, but I really wanted to watch some kind of World War II documentary or whatever. And then I was like looking online for like good ones and stuff, and I ran across. Everyone was kind of pointing me towards like multiple sites, multiple people. I think it was the BBC. I think it's a British show. They did back in the 70s, I believe, a documentary called "The World at War," and it's a 26-part World War II documentary. Basically, so far,
how long is each part?
About an hour. 26 hours of content. It's awesome. It starts with Hitler like coming into
ascending to power.
Yeah, before war started or anything, and it goes through it. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. If you can find it, it's on Dailymotion. It's also on YouTube. And I'm sure you can find it other places. But it's really, really cool. And honestly, I wish we could sit down, the majority of Americans, and have them watch this, because if you're watching actual history and if you actually understand how Hitler came to power and how the Nazis are created, we are so far from that even being close to a thing happening now.
Wait, you mean Trump isn't Hitler?
Trump is not even close to Hitler, dude. Like, and it's also so infuriating that we're calling people Nazis that aren't Nazis. Like, it should be a huge deal to be a Nazi.
Absolutely.
These were horrible people, man. Yeah. And like it's just insane. And the fact that we're going to be the next, like, no, you're not doing the same thing that we were doing in World War II by tearing down a statue and fighting the stupid protesters. You're not. It's just not. These were horrible people. The Nazis were terrible. Hitler was an evil person.
Absolutely.
A very smart and definitely took advantage person, but evil.
Definitely.
But like the way they took over, and it was honestly very fascinating. And little parts that I didn't know are very cool to learn. Like,
and tying the whole thing together.
Oh yeah, and learning all the different sides, because it's very complex.
I always hated, like, people. So many people I talk to, like, history's so boring, and it's like because you just taught dates.
Yeah.
And then you have to go and like put down the date of when this battle happened or whatever. But when you kind of see the whole picture as a story and everything connects, it's really...
Which is so cool, too, because this doesn't get into the nitty-gritty of the battles. It says, okay, and this battle happened, and this happened, which is great because I get the broad thing, which is awesome. I understand the motivations.
It's still 26 hours.
It's 26 hours, yeah. Then I can go back later now, and if I want to see exactly what happened
jump into exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it was cool. They talked about Dunkirk, and I got to get the movie was great at a macro level, or a micro level, and the movie was more at a macro level, and I was like, that was cool, because I get more background and stuff. It was just really cool. Highly recommended.
I'm definitely gonna check it
out. Screw Nazis. And there's a lot of fascinating stuff in World War II, man. And honestly, it's cool watching too, because it's like the way the World War II was, it's never gonna happen again. Like, there were so many parts of it that happened because of the technological limitations and just bad intel and like not having maps,
not trusting radar.
Exactly. Right. And so it's like it's. Not to say that it's bad that it's not going to be that way again, because it was horrible the way it happened, but it's fascinating. It's like this was a piece in time. The world was at war.
Yeah. China,
Russia, Japan, France, Italy, Britain. They were fighting in South Africa, Egypt. Like, it was everywhere, and it's hard to comprehend, and I could not imagine living in that time, right?
Or something like that happening today, just the world being a war.
No, because we have nukes now as well, which would end things,
destruction.
Right, and so not only that, though, it would be over a lot quicker, because back then, it was like it was tanks, it was, aircrafts had a lot more limited range, Also, just Hitler's tactics were fascinating. Blitzkrieg that he made, where it would like pivot, like a spear point in and then surround the enemies.
It was interesting.
Super fascinating.
It was interesting how he had some really good military. He had a good military mind for some things, but then other things he just totally botched.
Yeah, with Dunkirk. Well, he could have just kept going to the coast, and he would have had Britain's army.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like, "Nah, fam, I'm gonna let my planes do it."
Thank God he didn't. If you had someone who was mega competent there, that could have been really bad.
It's crazy how close.
There's researching him and learning about him.
Oh, but we're not allowed to do that. It's probably freaking offensive.
It's offensive to someone.
You should highly recommend watching it. Anyone that thinks
World at War, right?
The World at War. You can just type in 26 part. I don't think there's a lot of 26-part documentaries,
exactly.
But I watched too many of them today, and it was awesome.
How many did you watch?
No, it doesn't matter. 8. It was a long day.
Hey, that's.
But you can just. I was just listening.
Yeah, while you're doing other stuff.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, so mine isn't nearly as good as that.
Epic.
Yeah, as epic or interesting. But I thought this was great because it kind of ties into what we were talking about in the main topic. So there were a bunch of protesters. They were all dressed in black, kind of Antifa members, who were in Atlanta over the weekend.
Back in Georgia, dude.
Yeah, back in Georgia, man. They were marching on, I think they ended their march or whatever in Piedmont Park. They ended up vandalizing, you can see a picture of it here, this statue, which they thought was kind of commemorating the Confederate Army, right, and Confederate soldiers. They were too busy, though, throwing, like paint and fake blood and throwing chains around it. They actually ended up trying to pull it off the mantle like the ones did in, where was it?
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina. But they weren't able to because the statue was really heavy.
And they're probably too
weak. And they're too weak. But anyways, they didn't read the plaque that was right under it, which the plaque said, quote, "Cease firing, peace is priceless." So this statue, if you saw in the picture, if it's hard to make out, it depicts an angel kind of right over a Confederate soldier who's laying down his arms. So it was erected in the early 1900s, and it was kind of a way to kind of promote peace and stuff like that in Atlanta after the Civil War. Obviously, 1911, that's well after the Civil War had ended. It strictly wasn't promoting the Confederacy
but
at
it doesn't
all.
matter because it's so
condemning
superficial.
it, saying that the Confederates should lay down their arms, right?
That's
But they don't know
amazing.
that. They just destroy the whole monument anyway.
So that means they actually want the Confederates to not lay down their arms.
Exactly, yeah.
They're so stupid.
I just think
dude.
the irony in it was great,
They're
so I just had to throw
dumb.
it. I know. Just totally.
Yeah.
But hey, that's where we're going to wrap up this week's Peanut Gallery podcast. As always, guys, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give us a thumbs down. Tell us what we did wrong. Leave us in the comment section below. Tell us what you think about all the stories that happened this week. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, anywhere where podcasts are. And until next week, stay informed.